any introduction, because most of you have met her on an excursion in the Russian museum we've had, right? And, well, we're going to talk mostly about the United States today, but we asked Пайпер to turn over the questions and ask you about Russia in return, because she's here to find out as much as possible about Russia too. So, as you know, the relations between our two countries are kind of controversial, but we're here to find things in common. So I would like to start by asking you to tell us things that the United States and Russia have in common.
Me first?
Yes, certainly. It's the easiest question, I think. If you start.
All of the people in both countries, all the people I've met are very, very nice.
Right, one. Anything else?
Nice. And hardworking?
And
Yes,
hardworking,
very,
all
very.
right. Any other?
Peaceful?
Peaceful. Both of the countries, all right. Are peaceful.
Friendly?
Friendly. So, well, tell something new. We've had enough of characteristics of the people. Anything else?
Both the states are multinational.
Yeah, both of the countries are multinational. Multinational, right. Anything else? Yeah, both of them are big. They're the biggest countries in the world. Yeah. So, anything else? Yeah, I would say that they're both the leading countries in the modern world. Would you agree with this? Definitely. Anything else? Mary? I know you've got something to tell us. So, anything else? All right, just one. I'll give you just one more chance, and then hand over to Пайпер, and you will be asking questions all evening until she's exhausted. All right, so just one more. Maybe Natalie.
So a lot of accomplishments in sports. Both sportsmen
Yeah,
are famous and have set a
that's
lot of
right.
world records. They
That's
have won a
true.
lot of prizes.
All right. So I'll give the floor to Пайпер, and now it's your turn to ask questions and find out about the way they live in the United States, the things they like, the things they don't like, probably,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
About her school, about her hobbies, and other things.
Yes. Okay, well I guess I'll stand. Okay, so hi, my name is Пайпер Frances Dodson Tour. I'm from the United States of America, and before anyone asks me, I will just tell you why I came to Russia, because I know someone will ask me. So I decided to come to Russia because I realized it was the country I knew the least about, because in America we have a lot of ideas about how Russia is, but nobody actually knows anything. Sure, there's the news that's like, oh yes, Putin did this today, and we're like, okay, but there's no real information about the people or the culture or the food, which is delicious. And so I came here to really see what Russia is like and to hopefully show people what Americans are like, so that there's no stereotypes, so that no one assumes anything that is just completely not true. Yes. Also, if anyone asks me any questions, I've brought American candy. So if you ask me a question, I will give you a piece of candy. It has peanut butter in it though, so if you're allergic to peanuts, let me know. Okay, so, any questions so far?
Yeah.
Yes?
Did you taste any Russian food?
Before I came?
When you came
Oh,
here?
yes. I've had a lot of Russian food.
What
It
did
is
you like
delicious.
more?
I really like blинчики and sirniki. I love them. I eat them with a lot of smetana and сахар. It's очень вкусно. Okay. Do you want a piece of candy? Yes, of course. Okay. Reese's peanut butter cups. Very exciting. For you.
Thanks a lot.
Yes. Okay. Ooh, I'm gonna fall over. So, the United States of America, right, has a population of 318.9 million. So that's a lot of people.
Twice as many as in Russia, roughly speaking.
And so the first people that lived in America were the Native Americans, okay? These are not the people that live there anymore because the Pilgrims came. And these people are people that came from Northern Europe because they wanted religious freedom. They didn't like having to be part of the church, so they came to the New World, which was America. And they came to Jamestown, Virginia, which is all the way over there. But I'm not going to talk about Jamestown, Virginia, because I'm not from Jamestown, Virginia. I'm from Oregon, which is, ooh,
Yeah,
there's a
that's
map.
maps.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
We can give a map to each part.
yes. Genius.
Yeah, will you show? Yeah, can you show it?
Yes.
See it on the map.
Okay. This is Oregon, right over here. It's on the west coast, close to Canada. Yeah. Okay, so people went from Virginia to Oregon on the
Sure.
Oregon Trail.
I have it. See?
And these people were the pioneers. This is the closest thing you will get to a real life cowboy. I'm sorry, cowboys, they just don't really exist how we think of them. They don't like, yeehaw! It's not a thing. We just have pioneers. So, when the pioneers came to my state, Oregon, there was fighting between the Native Americans and these cowboys. But eventually, the cowboys won, and so now we live there in Oregon. Yes. Oh. And the capital of Oregon, it even says on this map, is Salem. And this is what our Capitol building looks like. It has a little gold man on top who's one of the pioneers leading the way. And Salem is very boring, but it's the capital of Oregon. The most exciting city and the biggest city is Portland. It's very beautiful. It has a mountain in the background, which is very cool. There's lots and lots of trees. And it has a population of 609,456, which is much smaller than St. Petersburg, but still pretty big city. And it is the city of roses because we have a giant rose garden that is like on top of a hill, so it's very beautiful. And people that live in Oregon, do you know what a hippie is? Does anyone know a hippie? Okay.
Do you know? Have you heard about
This is a hippie. This is a hippie. This is the type of people that live in my state. They're all about peace and love. And I live like right outside of Portland in Beaverton, which is even smaller. So if there's Portland, there's Beaverton. Portland, Beaverton. Portland, Beaverton. Portland, Beaverton. And Beaverton has a population of 93,542. So it's very small. And this is my beautiful house with a population of 6. It's very pretty in the summer. Okay. So the people that live in my house are my mom and I. This is a beautiful picture of me and my mother. Yes. Yes. And oh, my cat. Her name is Shishi. Yes.
That means something.
No. I was very young when I named her, and we had 2 cats.
We had trouble pronouncing
Yes.
sounds. I see.
So we had 2 cats. We had Chai Chai and Shishi. This is my dog Charlie. She's very small. We don't know what type of dog she is. She's a rescue dog, so we got her from a shelter for dogs that were found on the street. And this is my other dog, Frankie. I have too many animals. She's very crazy. She likes to eat all of my shoes. It's not very nice. Okay, and I had a fish. And I was going to put my fish in this slideshow, but unfortunately my fish recently died. But
So you had 7 members of your family.
Yes.
Before the fish died.
Yes. And his name was Hot Sausage, which I think is really funny. So yes, I had a fish named Hot Sausage. So now I will talk about my family. This is a small part of it. I have a lot of grandmas for some reason. Okay, so this is my Papa Jim. He's my grandpa, not my dad. So don't be confused. He is from Salem, the capital of Oregon, and the place I said is very boring. This is
Hopefully it isn't as boring
No.
as Sam.
He's very exciting, but the city, boring. This is my Oma. She is married to my papa. It's Dutch because she's from the Netherlands. She is my grandma. She's very pretty for her age. And yes, she's from the Netherlands. She is part of the Van Lith family. And, this is my Bama. This is not a name people use for their grandmas, but she decided that she would let the first grandchild born decide her name. So my cousin was born, and he saw her, and he called her Bama. So now we all call her Bama. And she is from Ireland, which is super cool. And this is my abuelo, which is my other grandpa. And abuelo is Spanish for grandpa, and he is not Spanish, but he comes from Texas, which is really close to Mexico, so we just call him abuelo anyway. Okay, so this is where it gets a little confusing. My mom is adopted, and this last year we just found her mom who actually gave birth to her, and so that's why I have so many grandmas. So this is my grandma Julie and my great-grandma Jolene, who is my mother's birth parent, her birth mother, and her birth grandmother. And they are from, well, because my mom is adopted, and so, okay, so Jim, Papa, he is my mom's dad who adopted her, and Bama is my mom's mom who adopted her, They're married to different people now.
But that's why you have so many grandparents. Yeah.
But
A double set. for
yes.
them. I see.
Well, now triple, because this last year we found her mother who gave birth to her, who is this woman, Grandma Julie, and Grandma Jolene is her mother. So she's really old, but they're very nice. And they are from Norway.
Norway.
Yes. They apparently have a very big house there, but they gave up all of their money and they separated themselves from their family to come live in America. I don't know why. It was a love story. So now I'm going to talk a little more about myself. This is my school. The full name is Arts and Communications Magnet Academy, but none of us say that because we sound really like pretentious, like, oh, I go to Arts and Communications Magnet Academy. So we call my school ACMA. And it's a school for arts, for theater, for dance, for painting and drawing, for film, for anything you could imagine. And this is our stage in my school, where we put on dance recitals and where we put on theater shows, musical theater shows. And here's some pictures from shows I've been in at my school. That one's me, that one's me. Yes, that's me. And 2 different shows. This is from Oliver Twist, and this is from Coraline. And we also have dance recital there. These are some dance pictures of me. That's me. Yes. And we spend all year working on these dance recitals, going to classes every day. It's a very fun school, but it takes a lot of work, and you have to really be committed to your art. And
Do you do any mathematics or physics at all?
yes, of course.
I thought you were quite ignorant about that.
No, we have very good math actually. And we have 4 classes every day, but it switches. So it's 4 classes one day, 4 classes the other day, 4 classes. And so
The subjects are different.
Yes, the subjects are different every day. But yes, we have math, and it will be like normal class, art class, normal class, art class. So it's math, drawing, science, dance. The next day, social
Compensate for the tortures.
Exactly. And I don't only do theater at school, I also have been in productions at Oregon Children's Theater. This is not an interesting picture, but it's a great place where they put on shows for little children, which is really fun because they always laugh and scream a lot, and it makes you feel great. And this is an example of one of the shows. This is my friend, his name is Jordan Palmer. He is playing a Bill in a show about American law. It's funny, but it's for children. And I also dance at the Portland Ballet, which is very fun. And I play ukulele. I love ukulele. And for those of you that don't know what a ukulele, I don't have to show you this picture. I have a ukulele. Aha! Ukulele! Okay, so a ukulele is like a guitar, but instead of 6 strings, it only has 4, and it's from Hawaii, so it's called a Hawaii guitar here, a Hawaii guitar. Okay, good. And so,
And
yes.
Can you repeat the original name?
Ukulele. Ukulele, I think. Yes, and I love playing it because it's easier than guitar, but it still sounds like a guitar. Yes. And my last hobby is traveling. This is a picture of a little golden airplane. And that is the hobby which brought me here, and I'm so excited. And this is a picture from my first week here with my school's English club. Yeah, and so it has been super fun being here, and I am excited to be here for, I don't know, 6 more months. Yes.
So by the time you leave back home, you'll be speaking fluent Russian, I
Yes.
suppose.
I'm so excited. I hope so. Okay, so that's all I have to show as far as pictures. Does anyone have any questions?
Definitely. I'm sure Mary has got a question.
How long have you been studying Russian?
How long have I been studying Russian?
Yeah.
In the US, I had a tutor for 3 months before I came, and then I've been here for 3 months, so for 6 months, which is not very long at all. Yeah. Do you want a piece of candy? For you. Yes. Okay, any other questions? Yes.
And I don't understand that you like music, yes?
Yes.
And what kind of music do you like?
Ooh, this is a hard question. I don't know. I don't like country music. Yes, I'm American, but country music hurts my ears. I really I'm not a huge fan of pop music, just because you hear it on the radio so much that it gets stuck in your head, and so you're walking around all day like, hey, I just met you, and this is crazy, and you want to cry. But I really like rock, mostly, I think. Yes, rock is my answer. Yes. Do you want a piece of candy? Okay, good. Yes. For you. Yes. Any other questions? Yes.
What's the main signs in your neighborhood?
Here
Sites.
or America?
On America?
In the States.
Well, we have, my city is known for being very weird. So we have a donut store. Do you know what a donut is? Okay, good. I've had a hard time explaining donut here for some reason. Okay, so we have a donut store called Voodoo Donuts, where they make donuts in the shape of dolls, and then they like stab pretzels in their hearts. It's very strange, but people come to my city for these donuts. I'm not sure why. They're not that delicious, but they're very interesting. So the donut store, and people come for a very big library, and it takes up an entire street. This library is really big. And they come to see Mount Hood, which is the mountain in my state. And they come to see the Rose Garden and the Japanese Garden. Yeah.
Have you been to the library?
Yes, I have. It's called Powell's Books. Don't worry, I won't forget about your candy. Okay, it's called Powell's Books, and it is a block long, and they have a section of books upstairs which are really old and really, really expensive, but very cool to look at. Yes. And they have a lot of like signed books, and they have authors that come and talk, and it's a very nice library. Yes. But you can always tell who the tourists are in my city, because they're always walking around with a box from this donut store and a bag from the bookstore. And no one in my city actually goes to these places on a daily basis. Yes. Any other questions? Do you want a piece of candy?
No, thanks. I'm not a sweet tooth, to be honest with you.
Any other questions?
What things Russian people are meaningful to you personally?
Oh dear, this is a hard question. Well, it's hard because in America we don't learn that much about Russian history, so I've only really started learning since being here in Russia. But some of the people I've really enjoyed learning about have been Peter the Great.
Yes, with
of course.
Is this why you remember it?
Well, I've learned so much about him, and it's very interesting, and I love learning about how St. Petersburg, it was built on a swamp. Who decides to build a city on a swamp? I don't know, but it turned out great. And then, oh no.
By the way,
oh, and Pushkin, of course. Yes.
Do you know why St. Petersburg is on the UNESCO World Heritage List?
No.
As well as a number of suburbs like Peterhof, Pavlovsk, Pushkin. You've been to,
Yes.
to the... Yeah. Do you know why?
No.
No.
Wow.
Because St. Petersburg was meant to be the capital of the
Oh,
empire.
Right, I did know.
Right. And because of the special layout of the city, that was one thing. And another thing is that it was the houses were built not at random, as in other capital cities.
Oh, right.
But they were built in ensembles.
Right. So
So
cool.
two things make St. Petersburg special, and that's why it's a city protected by UNESCO. And there's just one more city that is protected, which is Constantinople.
Oh my
or
gosh.
Istanbul.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
There are just two cities, that are protected as a whole, not just isolated buildings.
St. Petersburg is amazing. I love it. I've never lived in a city this big, and it's crazy because there's people everywhere all the time. Like in the US, by 7 o'clock at night, everyone's in their house eating dinner. And here, I have to take the bus on Nevsky, and everyone's still like, and then I get home, and we don't eat dinner until 10:30 at night. It's so weird. I can do world clock time, 22:30 at night. It's very late for me. It's very different.
When I was staying with an American family, we didn't have dinner until at least 9 o'clock at night.
Really?
Either, yeah. And I was surprised because I was starving by the time I was brought back from the company where I was having my internship. And we had a glass of wine, we talked. And I was looking actually forward to my dinner.
Yes, that's strange. Normally,
I think it might depend on the size of the city.
Yeah,
because I was staying in quite a big city, in Cincinnati.
Oh yes. I think also the age of the people, because I know all of my grandparents, all of the old people in the U.S. eat dinner at like 5 in the afternoon, really, really early. But me and my mom, we eat dinner at like 8:30 in the evening. Yeah. So I think it's just old people eat really early for some reason. Yes.
Getting back to St. Petersburg, is there your favorite site? You got it?
I don't know. I really like Nevsky, of course, because Nevsky's really fun to just walk around. And it's so pretty now with all of the lights. Nevsky is beautiful. But I went to Peter Hoff Palace, which was when the fountains were still on, and it was spectacular. It was beautiful, and I don't know. I just really like all of the buildings here. I don't know if that seems strange, but in my city in the US, all of our buildings are just like, and buildings here just look so cool. And they're fun colors. Like in the US, in Portland, we have one building that's colored and it's pink and it's glass. It's not that interesting. But here it's like there's a green building, there's a yellow building, there's a pink building, and it's just so colorful, which is nice in winter when it's gray. I like it. And I like winter here more, because in Portland we don't get snow, and here
Because you haven't experienced Russian winter yet. Only the songs probably.
I am going to Kirov in January, which I apparently will experience real Russian winter there. Yes.
Can you skate? Can you ski?
I can snowboard, not ski. I'll try skiing, but it scares me because the shoes are so uncomfortable. Yeah. Any other questions?
So you said you didn't know much about Russia. What about the Second World War? I don't mean you, I mean what do they write in the school books?
Right.
And what do the students know about the Second World War?
Well, that's interesting because I'm gonna set this down before I drop it and break it. Okay. So in schools in the US, our textbooks that we read from, unfortunately, are out of date. We haven't had new textbooks in a while. I'm surprised if I see 9/11 in a textbook. I'm like, wow, this textbook is so new, even though that happened like over 10 years ago now, right? Yeah. So, and we honestly don't have that much information about it because the US came into World War II really late, it seems, in our textbooks at least. So we don't know that much besides it involved Germany and Europe. And that's basically all, unless you decide to study history more in depth and then you learn more about all of the countries specifically. We learned about trenches, but here I have learned so much. I went to, I don't know what it's called. It has a big
Memorial.
statue. Yeah, it's a big statue. Yes. It was. Oh.
Cemetery. Or
Yeah. It was a mass cemetery, and it has a big statue of Mother Russia, and it was. It was really interesting, very sad, but really interesting because again, in the U.S. we don't learn a lot about it, and then coming here and watching videos on how hard it was on this city. Oh,
so you hadn't heard about
no,
the siege?
I had no idea before I came here, and so coming here, and I went to this mass cemetery, and I saw a documentary inside this little museum, and I saw they had cut the amount of bread people would get.
125 grams per day.
It was so, I felt so honored to, I don't know why I'm feeling like crying. Anyway, I felt so honored to be in that place and to see something like that so close, because we don't learn about it in the US. And so it was really cool to come here and see it and really understand, because again, we don't learn about it. And yeah, and then I learned about the ribbons, the orange and black striped ribbons, because I was really confused. I was like, why is there Halloween ribbons everywhere? Because those are Halloween colors in the US. And then my host mom explained it to me, and I was like, wow, that's so crazy, because I see these ribbons like randomly everywhere, tied on a bag, tied on the bus, tied on a car, and it's just like a little reminder everywhere. But yeah, I learned so much about it being here. I've learned so much about the siege and just how hard it was on this city, and just this city has its own history, which is really amazing, and that it still affects everyone today, that like everyone has family that was involved in this somehow, and it's so cool that there's something that unites this city like this, even though it's absolutely tragic and it was terrible, but it's really interesting that you have something that unites a city like this. I like it.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. I hope that kind of answered your question. I got really passionate for some reason.
Yes, you've learned so much about the siege and about the war in 3 months.
Yeah, and it's been amazing to learn about it, because I don't know why we don't learn about it in the US. Maybe.
Good question.
I think if you decide to study history in college, I think you do end up learning about it, or maybe just not in my state for some reason. I don't know. It's in European history, which I haven't had yet, but I think it's very important that we learn more about it, for sure. Yes. Do you want a piece of candy? It's okay.
It's probably hard to you to be here in Russia, these Russian people, so alone, isn't it?
Well, there was another American girl here who was living in Pushkin. However, she got deported because she did not do all her paperwork for her visa. So she got sent back to America, which is okay because I did not like her. But I don't feel very alone because everyone has been so welcoming and so nice to me, which I am so thankful for, because I did have some fear coming here that people were going to be mean to me because I'm American, but it happened once.
Why did you have this kind of expectation?
You know, I don't know. I think it's the media, the news, because the news just always tries to
emphasize the
to
bad
emphasize
sides.
the bad things that happen. Not only here, but in all of Europe, in all of the Middle East, even in America, in certain states. They're like, oh, Chicago is really scary, lots of shootings, don't go to Chicago. And I'm like, why? Why? So I think it's definitely just the media and movies even, because for such a long time, the bad guys, the villains in movies have been people with Russian or German accents. And so it's just something.
They were creating enemies.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just like subconsciously in my brain. And so I was just a little scared. And then I got
Did you leave a will before you left for Russia?
No, of course not. No.
Because my friends did. Who came over here, yeah.
Oh,
They were a little older than you.
Oh, yeah, old people.
Yeah, but they left a will before they left for Russia.
That's crazy.
Завещание оставили перед тем, как в Россию.
Yeah, I think it's mostly I've noticed older people in America, and some of the older people I've met here have been like a little weird sometimes, but mostly
Yeah,
not.
but they weren't that old. They were
Yeah.
in their early 40s.
Exactly.
Yeah, for you, those who are in their 40s are old, I understand. But, well, English people say that life begins at 40, so they have just started their lives.
Yeah, I think it also comes from older people in America, because I remember when I first said I wanted to come to Russia, when I first said this to my grandpa, he said no. No. And then he gave me a book about why I should go to Italy.
But it didn't work.
Yeah, and I mean, Italy's a beautiful country. I'm sure I've never been, but it didn't have the same appeal to me as Russia. For some reason, I just really wanted to come here. And so I decided to come here, and now my grandparents love it. Now every day they're like, oh my gosh, Piper, how's Russia? It's beautiful, I love Russia. I'm like, okay, wow, okay. Yeah, so it's just a lot of misinformation that's happening, but I don't understand. Just because my grandparents said no until I talked to them, and then they were like, yeah. So it's just people don't know enough about either country, which is again why I came to help gather information, spread information, help people understand. Yes.
Act as a messenger.
Yes. Yes. That's the goal. Hopefully by the end of the year, I will be able to send messages in Russian. I'll speak Russian by the end of the year, probably. It's a hard language. Russian is really hard. Because you have 6 cases? What? This is too many cases?
Russian is much older than English.
Right, much older. And it's a cool language, but sometimes people talk to me and all I hear is and I'm like, да, конечно. So I'm getting there. I understand a lot. I just can't speak a lot because I'm scared of being incorrect, because I don't know if it's gonna be shkola, shkolu, doma, domoy. I don't know. I'm working on it though. Yes. Any other questions?
What do you think about your president?
What about my what?
President.
About my president? Ooh, tough question. My Rotary Club back home told me never to talk about politics, but I will do it anyway. Okay, so this is hard because Obama, oh dear, I like him, but the way our government in the US is set up is there's 3 different powers that control all of the laws being passed, everything that happens. And so Obama is one power, and then there's the House of Congress and the Senate, and then there's the grand jury. It's confusing, I know, but Obama is a Democrat. The House of Congress and the Senate are mostly Republican. So if Obama votes yes, I want to say yes to a bill that says kids get to eat lunch for free, right? He says yes to this. Then it goes to the House of Congress, and since the House of Congress is Republican and disagrees with everything Obama says, they say no, kids should have to pay for lunch. Are you crazy, Obama? And so it doesn't get passed. So it seems like he's done nothing, even though he's trying. So I like him, but it's hard for him to get much done. Does that make sense? Okay.
And another question about your president, if you don't
Yes, of
mind
course.
me asking.
Yes.
Yeah, he keeps saying that the United States is an exceptional country, and they have the right to tell other nations what to do. How do you feel about it?
Not so good. No, it's not. It's. I don't know why.
Do you think that the USA is an exceptional country?
I think I do feel very fortunate to live in the U.S. because we do have a lot of easily accessible things. Like life is made very easy in the U.S., which is good and bad because let's take food as an example. If I'm hungry after school, I can go to my freezer and pull out a microwave meal and put it in my microwave and have food in 30 seconds. And I feel like that's too easy. I feel like I'm gonna get fat if I do that every day. So life is really easy there for some people. But I don't feel like the U.S. is better than any nation. That's definitely not true. I don't know. Definitely not. It's just different. This is
Every nation,
every
especially
nation, especially in its
in-
own way. Exactly. Because there's a lot of things about Russia that I wish America had. And there's some things that I miss about America. But, like, it makes each nation special. It makes them different. I definitely don't think America's better than Russia. Sometimes I like Russia more. But, because you guys have more history. I'm sorry. The U.S. is so young, so all of our history, we learn it over and over and over again. So it gets really boring. But all the European countries have real history and real culture, which is exciting. And the U.S. is like a mix of so many different cultures, which makes it interesting and makes a lot of really good food. But it doesn't have its own culture, it feels like sometimes in the U.S., but there's a lot of pride for the U.S. So I feel like everyone is standing for something. They're standing for the U.S., but everyone's definition of the U.S. is different. People in the South of America definitely think of the USA differently than people in the North. I come from the North, where most of us are anti-guns, anti-religion mixed with government, anti-whatever. Pro-life, we want people to be able to have abortions if they want. Pro-LGBT, lesbian, gay, bi rights, all of that stuff. In the North, they're like, yeah, yeah. And in the South, they're like, no, no, no. And they're like, guns. But okay, not all places in the South. This is me stereotyping. But those are some differences that we have. Is people in southern states traditionally are more conservative, and people in the north not as much. And that goes way back to times of slavery, and that's, yeah.
The war. Yeah.
Yes, the war, of course. And I didn't actually notice these differences until I came here, and the other American girl that was here was from the South. And she really loves guns, and she's a cheerleader from Arizona, and she's really, really, yeah, I did not like her, that's all. Yes. She was a nice person. This is the thing. She was a nice person. I love her as a person. But if we had to talk politics, we would not get along. That's basically with anyone coming from the north and the south, is they just don't. Nice people, but politically, no. basically the same as like Russia and the US. Everyone's nice people, but for some reason our governments are doing crazy things. I don't know why we don't get along.